if your workspace is actually cluttered or messy, I feel like that also affects your emotional well-being. And actually that reminds me of something that my mom used to tell me, and I didn't pay attention at all, but it definitely makes sense. Like your room, your house, like how you have that space, it's a reflection of how your mind
It,
of
it's
where
like
you are
you
mentally.
just said what
So
my mom says always too.
yeah, it's a mom phrase, but then now that I grew up, I understand it because it is very accurate. When I'm not feeling well, I tend to, get things cluttered. I tend to get messy. And actually, a good exercise and a good ritual for me to start feeling better, it's actually to declutter, to clean out that space. And then I immediately feel better.
So, moving to a new place or working remotely can make it tricky to meet people sometimes. But building that social circle can make all of the difference in feeling grounded and connected.
As a remote worker, most of our interactions with colleagues and friends from work are through a screen, like we've just been saying. I think that this is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to working
I
remotely.
think that prioritizing meaningful connections over quantity, I've learned this throughout the years. Like quality social time can be more fulfilling. Like not being with everyone, but being with the people that are interested in you and that
For
want the
sure.
best for you. I think that's really helpful. I have a lot of friends, but I've understand that not everyone is a friend,
Yeah.
but someone that you just know and share life experiences with.
Welcome to the Hired Hub podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the complexities of remote work and pushing your career forward.
Whether you're tuning in from the busy streets of Latin America or any corner of the globe, we're here to give you tools and insights to succeed in today's dynamic job market. I'm your host, Gaby Morales.
And I am your co host, Jess Torres. If you're a recent graduate eager to leave your mark or a seasoned pro looking to redirect your career, you can join us as we explore the endless possibilities of remote work and career growth.
Get ready to unlock your full potential with the Hired Hub podcast.
Building a comfortable and joyful work environment can be a challenging task, particularly when working remotely in a new location. With every checklist we have to cross out, meetings we have to attend among all the pendings, or work life can turn out very stressful, leaving very little or no time at all for our personal lives.
However, we're here to tell you that it's not impossible. With the right adjustments, you may be able to make the most out of your time. That's why on today's episode, we will be tackling something every remote worker can relate to: how to bring more joy to your work environment and build a social life when you're working in a whole new setting.
That's right, Gabby. Working remotely has incredible perks, but it also comes with its own set of challenges. And as you may have already guessed, we've got some interesting takes and maybe even a few surprises lined up for you.
Yep. It's easy to assume that working remotely automatically means less stress and more happiness. But as many of us know, it takes more than the flexibility of a remote job to actually feel joyful in our workspaces. Jess, how do you think remote workers can create a joyful work environment?
Well, that's a great topic, and I love to talk about that. I think one of the key factors for me it's personalizing my workspace, like buying things that make me happy. this is not this is not a podcast where we're going to talk about what things that you can buy or not buy, or giving all of the, how do you call it, like publicity to Amazon or other brands. But we're going to give you ideas. For instance, photos of people that you love, your family, your friends, plants, having plants. I do love cactus, so I have several of them in my desk. Also, you can put some inspiring quotes that will help you look at them and just get inspired. That's also something that will help you. Adding a little bit of color, like color psychology. You can paint your walls, or I don't know, just have different like pens or yeah, just office things that could make your day feel like joyful and even better. It could be like blue, which it's a little bit more calm colors, or yellow that it's energizing. So that thing, has been helpful for me. Um, Also, one thing that makes me more energized, it's exploring like music or making a sound atmosphere that will help me, like curating or just organizing a playlist for work. That's gonna
Yeah.
really make my day come totally different. It makes me keep focused. Just if I have to study, probably I'll put something really calm. Or if there's something that I have to do that doesn't require my mind to do a lot of things, I can put more like joyful music. So that makes my day better. Like try ambient or nature sounds could also work for you
Mm.
if you are a person that can easily get distracted like me. That makes me just find and my place, or just help me to have a little bit of more energy. Or if I need silence, I could put just music to concentrate. Also, something that has really helped me a lot, it's just setting my boundaries. And this is something that we've loved to talk, because we know that
Yeah.
it's something that it's really hard to establish at the beginning when you're starting to work from home, especially when you come from an environment, from an office, and then you switch to your house. I will recommend you to use this distinct cues for work, personal life, like putting away your work equipment at the end of the day, prioritizing regular breaks to prevent this burnout, considering techniques like the Pomodoro for sustained productivity, like
Mm,
working
yeah.
several minutes in a specific task and then switching to another. And also, researching shows that creating clear boundaries improves focus and helps prevent overworking. So, those are the things that have really, really helped me. I don't know if there's something that has been helping you to incorporate in this, um, like, yeah, like creating a joyful environment.
Yeah, well, everything that you do, I think I apply that to. And then also we've talked before about like mindfulness and wellness practices, aside from having, those boundaries, which we are always preaching. It's also being aware that we're human and that a lot of times we can get stuck in the day-to-day issues and just like have a time for us to breathe, to really understand the value of the work that we're doing, where it stands in our lives. And really, these mindfulness and wellness practices, they really help us to understand that a lot of things that happen on a daily basis in work are not as important or as big as they seem. And actually, by understanding that, you're
Yeah.
able to manage them better. So for me, mindfulness, it really helps me like enjoy my day-to-day life with work on a regular basis. And then I would add onto it like maybe incorporating some elements of like fun, right? To just like um have a not a non-professional but more casual relation with my team members, where we can really share stories and we can really create empathy and a camaraderie among us. And then like other activities, like maybe do a morning dance break, or just take some time out of work during the workday to just make sure to stretch, to do something that maybe, if I'm having a very stressful day at work, find something outside of that space
Yeah.
where I can still enjoy and I can still sort of like
Yeah.
save the date, right? So for me, I would add on to that. But yeah.
Okay, and we know that many of the things that challenge or peace at work are often um, out of our hands, right?
Yeah.
So, Gabby, what are some common challenges to joyful workspace and how can remote workers overcome them?
Wow. Like some of those, like the challenges that come from not having a joyful workspace, I would say, like, it's that isolation and loneliness. Like, sometimes it's very easy to feel disconnected from the team that you're working with. And really, like, I don't know if definitely not every company, you know, encourages to have more team connection and activities. But if you're part of a team that really doesn't consider that, it can be very easy to feel lonely and isolated. I think that also another thing that creates that environment is, like I just mentioned, like the lack of physical movement. We're not going out on a regular basis. We're not commuting. We're not exercising, and we do know that exercise is a big factor when it comes to, serotonin and all those hormones that make you feel good. So when we're not moving on a regular basis, and on top of that we don't go out on a regular basis and we don't socialize like we normally should, well, that also adds up to maybe taking things too personally in the workspace, or really just having that mindset where we're just focused on work and we're not able to like focus on other things. The other thing, it sort of aligns with what you mentioned at the beginning, which is having like a workspace that you feel comfortable with. If your workspace is actually cluttered or messy, I feel like that also affects your emotional well-being. And actually that reminds me of something that my mom used to tell me, and I didn't pay attention at all, but it definitely makes sense. Like your room, your house, like how you have that space, it's a reflection of how your mind,
It-
of
It's
where
like
you are
you
mentally.
just said what
So,
my mom says always too.
yeah, it's a mom phrase, but then now that I grew up, I understand it because it is very accurate. When I'm not feeling well, I tend to, get things cluttered. I tend to get messy. And actually, a good exercise and a good ritual for me to start feeling better, it's actually to declutter, to clean out that space. And then I immediately feel better. So even if it's a reflection, it's also something that can improve and that you can decide to improve your well being on. So I would say that, like we said before, lack of boundaries, like not being able to separate work and life and personal life. When you're not very comfortable with the work that you're doing, when you're not in a joyful workspace, even after you clock out, you're thinking of work. You're thinking of all those tensions. You're thinking about that conversation that could have gone differently. You're thinking about so many things that really just, it makes it difficult to actually improve that relationship that you have with work. How I would say that it can be overcome, first of all, you have to be conscious of the impact that you have with yourself, like the impact that you have with your team. Be conscious of, if you feel lonely, try to do activities that connect you to your team or that connect you to people outside of your workspace. If you are not moving enough, if you're not socializing enough, go out and do it. If you are in a cluttered or messy space, just take 5 minutes a day before you begin your day and just try to organize your desk. That space that you're going to be looking at 5 10 hours 5 to 10 hours per day, so it just makes sense to make it a little bit more organized and really do the conscious effort of separating your work life from your personal life. The moment that you shut your computer, that you turn it off, you turn off everything that's related to those dilemmas. And I know it's hard, but then, like, a big part of it is being conscious of those patterns to be able to correct them. Just what do you think? Like, what are other challenges that you see, and like, how would you overcome them?
For me, especially my home environment, I'm glad you guys are not watching us video right now. Just because having that to separate your house and your workspace, it's really important sometimes. Sometimes we do need to commute, but sometimes it could become a distraction and noise. So I would recommend you just to identify where is the noise. You can use headphones or just go to a quieter area that will work for you to concentrate. Also, setting your phone on not disturb, like, or just letting your family know that you're going to be busy, that they can respect you and just be quiet and just you're going to be focusing on a specific task during those work hours. And also, I think something that has been helping me a lot, it's establishing focus hours in my Google Calendar so people know when I'm doing something that I have to get done. So like focus hours, and it's a good routine. Probably take up 1 hour, 2 hours, depends on what the task that you need to do, so that you can minimize all of those external notifications of people that might be needing you to do things that require your time and being focused. So that has been helping me a lot.
Yeah.
And right now, we want to talk about another big part of life as remote worker, and it's your social life. So moving to a new place or working remotely can make it tricky to meet people sometimes, but building that social circle can make all of the difference in feeling grounded and connected. So Gabby, what are some ways remote workers can build a social life in a new environment? We know that you don't live in Venezuela anymore, that you're living in Chile. So we want to know, how does that look like?
Mm. Well, first of all, like having a social life, because you can have a social life either within your work and also outside of your workspace. So when it comes to work, actually, I would say like we've talked about this before, which is like using the networking platforms to create connections with people that share your level of knowledge and expertise in your work in your career. I would say like LinkedIn, like or even groups or clubs aligned to like what you're doing. Um, and then like virtual industry events also, I would say. And then I would also say like exploring co-working spaces and local cafes. Like I love, we've also talked about this before. I just love going to like the work cafes because it really allows me to meet new people. And that is something that's not strictly related to my work and the team that I work with, but it actually also helps me to meet new people and fulfill that social need that we all have as human beings, right? And then when it comes to like finding social purpose or, fulfilling those social needs outside of the workspace, I would say like join a hobby or a fitness group, kill two birds with one stone, socialize and exercise at the same time.
I love that one.
Yeah. And if there's any like cause that you maybe agree like you're passionate about, I would also say like do that kind of social work and find that time to also fulfill that purpose. Um and then what do you think? Like what would you add to
I
that?
would add volunteering for local causes. My mom has a foundation, so
Yeah.
sometimes I get to help with her, and just people that are also willing to help. And that's really nice to commute with people that are willing to give what they have, and especially time or even money or whatever will help people um I don't know, just live a better life. Like volunteer, you can look for volunteer programs that are near to you. It will also improve your mental health and
Yeah.
make you have like stronger social networks. I've heard something about remote worker meetups in digital nomads. Like these are some great meeting that some of people could have when they travel. There are different platforms. I know there is one that it's called World Packers. So
Okay.
it's
Okay.
worth a try it. I haven't done it, but I've heard that some people have done a great job with that platform. So that's one of the recommendations.
Awesome. I joined one a couple of months ago, not related to work specifically, but it's like these events that you just join and you join a dinner with people you don't know. I don't know if you've heard about it. I don't remember really the name right
Yes.
now, but I joined a couple of dinners. Like they create these groups of like 7, 8 people, and then they just tell you like you pay for a dinner, and then when you get there, you join this table of people that you've never seen before, and you just have to talk through the
Yeah.
whole, 5 courses of meals. And then it's a great opportunity to just like socialize. And I feel like that was a lot of fun.
I think I received like one advertisement about that one, but then a friend told me to download an app. Here in Colombia, we have something that it's called Halo, and it's specialized for
Okay.
people that wants to run. And it's an app, and they talk, and they have different careers there, and it's really fun. Like
Oh,
they talk, and it's
cool.
it's really cool. They do exercise, so I don't know. I haven't been or joined one, but I will. I'll let you know how it goes.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. You know what else I'm in? And I think that this is, again, just I'm part of a book club. It's a virtual book club. So we
Nice.
have like Zoom sessions where we talk about the different books that we were reading. Like right now we're reading Dune.
Oh,
It's been a really good book. And that also like fulfills that need because again, you join a Zoom call or a video, WhatsApp video call, and of course it's still virtual, but you get to talk to people that share your interest in something. It's not specifically work related, so it really just drums up both their conversations. And I've actually started friendships with people from those groups I've never seen before. But then again, since we align in interests, it's just been like a good experience. So again, it's about fulfilling in different ways those social needs that you have because you may not be conscious of them, but we're all human beings, and the human being per se has a very social nature. So if we don't fulfill that, that also affects our well-being and the way that we perceive things and receive and are receptive of things that happen in our life, specifically work related.
yeah.
So as a remote worker, most of our interactions with colleagues and friends from work are through a screen, like we've just been saying. I think that this is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to working remotely. So, for you, Jess, what are some challenges of building a social life while working remotely, and how would you overcome them?
That's a tricky question for me. Um, because finding the right social balance, if you ask me, it's really hard. As you know, I'm really social. Sometimes I tend every as soon as I finish my work shift, go out and meet out with some friends. But I do think it's a balance. So what we were talking about, like having a hobby that it's gonna help you growth, like reading a book or doing sports, and you combine them. I think that's
Yeah.
a great like that gray area. I don't know how to explain like where your passions and your friends meet. It's perfect. So I think that planning those social activities that fit into your work schedule, um it's and avoiding over commute com how do you call over committing. I don't know if I said it right.
Committing, yeah.
And I don't know,
Overcommitting.
also overcommitting. I think that prioritizing meaningful connections over quantity, I've learned this throughout the years. Like quality social time can be more fulfilling. Like not being with everyone, but being with the people that are interested in you and that
For
want the
sure.
best for you. I think that's really helpful. And that has been something that I've been learning because I have a lot of friends, but I've understand that not everyone is a friend,
Yeah.
but someone that you just know and share life experiences with.
Yeah, and surely that like sometimes you'll go to a party over the weekend and you still won't feel as fulfilled socially than maybe going out and eating ice cream with a friend and
Yeah.
having like a longer conversation about what you're going through.
Yeah, talking about life. Yeah, that's more meaningful, I think. And I also that studies I've learned that studies suggest that a balanced social life enhances happiness and
Mm-hmm.
reduces work stress. But
Yeah.
again, it's a balance. For me, it's finding that middle point where I can be social, but also finding my space to grow, for Jess to grow, to learn, to be in a calm space also. I think it has been finding a balance. Also,
Yeah.
maintaining friendships long distance. I was talking with a friend a few nights ago. She lives literally at the other side of the world, so trying to communicate, it's really hard. And I know mental health, it could be really hard, especially when they don't know anyone and they don't have, like, if your friend doesn't have anyone around, and it could be really challenging. It could be really hard for your mental health,
Yeah.
especially if you're someone from Latin America that's really like used to spending time with your family and friends. It could be really hard. So I will recommend you to just schedule a virtual catch up with an old friend to stay connected and see how they're doing. If you are able to plan a trip or a meetup, that's really great. Sometimes it's really hard, but just we're glad that technology is it's in our favor, so we can share activities online like games or movie nights to keep connected and just stay in that zone where you can share things that you still like. What do you think about this? Like, is there any challenge of building a social life while working remotely? And how couldn't you overcome this, Gabby?
Yeah. So really, I really see what you're saying there when it comes to maintaining friendships long distance. Like it's hard, especially when you move and you work remotely. Like maintaining those friendships is hard. So I would also agree with everything that you're saying there. Actually, sometimes I still have like
Oh, yes.
Among Us
That that
like
reminds
sessions
me
with my
of
friends.
COVID.
Yeah, and actually it's specifically with the people that, I was working with and that I was more socially like close to when COVID started. Like we still sometimes just like catch up and we say like let's have an Among Us night and then we just play Among Us for like 3 hours and then we're
That's
just
cool.
talking on Discord like throughout 3 hours. So it's super funny.
Oh.
But it's super meaningful because it means that you can stay connected to those friendships. So definitely like plan those out. Like maintaining friendships is it's also work and it's work that it's worth it. Definitely having, especially if they're part of that group, like you say, like there are meaningful relationships. I would also add, like people that are too stuck in their comfort zones. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's a big struggle when you're too used to or too comfy with spending a month without seeing light of day or like seeing your friends. Again, that's the comfortable zone,
Yeah.
but it can be counterproductive afterwards. So definitely I would suggest like going to more events, like challenge yourself to be places where you do activities that you don't regularly do, and really just do that research to meet new people and even maintain contact with the people that you love and that you care for. Yeah, and overcome that initial shyness because when it comes to like new places, new events, new people, like you always have that like social awkwardness. Like
Yeah.
it's always like the thought of am I going to be accepted? um,
Yes.
just keep in mind that's part of the process. Like it's always going to be there. It gets better with time. But then again, if we let that dictate the way that we socialize, then it's going to be very hard for us to actually create new and meaningful relationships during our adulthood because like also research has show that for adults, yeah, it's actually a lot harder to make new friendships
Mm,
than it is for us as kids. And I'm sure you remember this. Like, I
yeah.
used to be a kid and I met this girl in the playground and I liked her hair and I would be like, let's be best friends. And
Yeah.
it was as easy as that. And it doesn't happen like that anymore. So
Yeah, no.
you really have to put in that effort of, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, getting out of your comfort zone, and overcoming that social shyness and awkwardness. Well, Jess, that was a lot of great advice towards you, towards me, towards our audience. I hope all of you remote workers are out there feel inspired to add some joy to your workspace and find your tribe wherever in the world you may be.
I'm sure they will, Gabby. Remember, remote work doesn't have to be isolating or boring. With a few tweaks, you can feel connected, happy, and energized.
Yep. Thanks for listening to The Hired Hub. Don't forget to share this episode with anyone who's looking to explore their social life and make remote work more enjoyable.
My name is Jess.
And I'm Gabby. Thanks for joining us today. That wraps another episode of the Hired Hub podcast. We hope you found today's discussion empowering and insightful. Remember, success in the world of remote work is within your reach, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert advice and engaging conversations. Please give us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us reach more people who can benefit from the Hired Hub podcast.